Do this once, just once, and the people who drain your energy, twist your words, and test your peace will never bother you again. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? That's what they want you to think. Toxic people survive on one thing, your reaction. The moment you stop feeding them, their power starts to fade. But most people never realize it because they're too busy trying to explain, defend, or prove their worth to someone who was never listening in the first place. Think about that for a second. How many times have you replayed a conversation in your head, wishing you'd said something better? How many sleepless nights have you spent trying to understand why someone treated you that way? And how many times did it change anything? You gave them your energy, your time, your emotions, and they walked away with all of it, untouched, unbothered, while you were left in pieces. Toxic people don't need to shout to control you. They can do it with silence, guilt, or even fake kindness. They study your reactions, your empathy, your desire to fix things. They pull your strings, and the more you care, the deeper you fall into their game. But here's what they never expect. That one day you'll wake up and refuse to play. That you'll choose peace over performance, calm over chaos, and silence over proving your worth. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. It's about understanding that your peace is not up for negotiation. There's one simple shift, one decision that ends their influence forever. You don't have to argue. You don't have to win. You don't even have to make them see your value. All you have to do is stop giving them what they crave most. Your attention, your reaction, your emotional energy. Because once you master that, once you understand how to respond instead of react, how to protect your energy without explaining why, you become untouchable. You become the kind of person they can't manipulate because nothing they say can pull you out of your center. So if you've ever felt trapped in a cycle with someone who keeps taking more than they give, who makes you question yourself, who knows exactly how to make you feel small, stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll learn exactly how to do one thing that will make toxic people walk away on their own. Confused, powerless, and realizing they can't reach you anymore. Let's begin. There comes a moment in every person's life when you finally get tired of being the one who keeps explaining, defending, and fixing what you didn't break. That's the turning point. The instant you realize that no amount of reasoning will ever make a toxic person see you clearly. They don't want understanding. They want control. And the more you try to make sense of their behavior, the more trapped you become in their web. Because toxic people don't play fair, they play to win, and their victory is measured not by truth or integrity, but by how much of your peace they can steal. Most people stay stuck because they think they can out-explain manipulation. They believe that if they just say the right thing, if they stay calm enough, kind enough, patient enough, the other person will finally understand. But that day never comes, because the toxic person isn't confused. They know exactly what they're doing. They poke at your insecurities, twist your words, and then act like you're the problem when you react. They feed off the chaos they create. Every argument, every over-explanation, every emotional breakdown, it all fuels them. They love watching you unravel while they remain perfectly composed, pretending to be the calm, rational one. That's their game. And here's the truth, most people don't want to accept. You can't win by playing. The only way to win is to stop playing altogether. That's the real power move. Because once you stop reacting, once you stop explaining and start observing, everything changes. You take your power back without saying a word. You begin to see the manipulation for what it really is. A desperate attempt to keep control over you. And when you no longer engage, when your emotions no longer dance to their tune, they lose their grip. It's not easy at first. Your instinct will scream to defend yourself, to clear your name, to prove that you're not the person they're painting you to be. You'll want to send that message, have that one last conversation, or get closure. But closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you deciding that you've had enough, that you're no longer willing to waste your energy trying to change someone who benefits from misunderstanding you. The moment you stop participating in their drama, you reclaim your peace. You might notice something interesting when you pull back. The toxic person will start to panic. They'll test you first with silence, then with guilt, then with provocation. They'll try to draw you back into the old dance. They'll accuse you of being distant, selfish, or cold. They'll play the victim, reminding you of all the times they helped you or how much they care. Don't fall for it. That's manipulation in disguise. The moment you respond emotionally, they know they still have you. But when you remain calm, unbothered, detached, they're left with nothing to feed on. They can't fight someone who won't engage. Stopping the game doesn't mean you become heartless. It means you become wise. You learn that not every battle deserves your energy, and not every person deserves access to your emotions. You start protecting your peace like it's your most valuable possession. Because it is. You realize that self-control is not weakness, it's quiet dominance. It's strength wrapped in stillness. It's walking away, not because you can't fight, but because you finally understand that the fight was never worth it. And here's what happens next. Once you stop playing, the energy that was once drained by arguments, confusion, and self-doubt begins to return to you. You start thinking clearly again. You start sleeping better, breathing deeper, and feeling lighter. The noise fades. You see people for who they truly are, not through the fog of guilt or fear, but through clarity. You stop needing their approval because you finally approve of yourself. You stop craving validation from the very person who made you feel unworthy of it. The turning point isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's the moment you stop trying to make someone else see your value. And instead, you start living like you already know it. You no longer chase understanding. You give it to yourself. You no longer wait for respect. You model it in how you treat yourself. And in that moment, toxic people lose all power over you, because there's nothing left for them to manipulate. They may still try. They may still talk behind your back, twist stories, or try to pull you into new arguments. But you'll notice something remarkable. It doesn't bother you anymore. You don't feel that same urge to defend yourself. You don't feel that same need to fix things, because you've built something stronger than their lies. Self-trust. You trust your intentions, your truth, your peace, and that makes you unshakable. Toxic people can only exist where they're fed. When you stop feeding them attention, when you stop engaging in their emotional games, they starve. They move on in search of someone else to manipulate because they can't thrive in the light of awareness. You've outgrown the game. You've learned to see manipulation for what it is. Weakness disguised as control. And your silence becomes your loudest statement. That's the real turning point. Not revenge, not confrontation, just calm awareness. You stop being a player in someone else's chaos and start being the author of your own peace. You realize that you don't need to win an argument to reclaim your power. You just need to walk away from the arena altogether. And from that moment on, the world shifts. The noise fades. The people who used to drain you no longer have access, because once you stop playing their game, you change the rules. Permanently. The most powerful person in any room is never the loudest. It's the one who doesn't react. The one who stays calm when everyone else is losing control. That level of emotional discipline isn't natural. It's built through awareness, patience, and a quiet decision to no longer be moved by other people's chaos. When you master emotional control, you stop living as a slave to every provocation, and you start living as the master of yourself. Toxic people have one primary goal: to make you lose your center. They know that if they can make you angry, defensive, or emotional, they can control you. It's psychological warfare, disguised as conversation. They push buttons that they've studied carefully. Your guilt, your empathy, your need to be understood. And when you react, they win. They feed off the drama because it gives them a sense of power and superiority. But here's the truth. They don't actually have power. They borrow it from your reaction. Without your energy, they are powerless. Emotional control begins when you realize that not every action deserves a reaction. Just because someone throws a verbal grenade doesn't mean you need to pick it up. You can choose to let it drop. That's strength. You're not weak for walking away or staying silent. You're wise enough to know that your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. Every time you hold back your reaction, you protect your peace. Every time you respond with calm, you send a silent message. You no longer have control here. When you stop reacting, you change the entire dynamic. Toxic people thrive on the emotional highs and lows. They want chaos because it makes them feel alive and in control. But when you stay neutral, when you respond with quiet composure, it confuses them. They can't predict you anymore. They can't get a rise out of you. And that drives them insane. They'll try harder at first, raise their voice, say something cruel or guilt trip you. But when they see it no longer works, they lose interest. You've taken away the fuel that keeps their ego alive. The art of not reacting isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's learning how to pause before responding, to breathe before speaking, to let the wave of anger pass through you without letting it control you. You feel it, but you don't become it. That's real power. Because once you can stand in the middle of chaos and remain grounded, no one can use your emotions against you again. Think about the last time someone provoked you. Maybe they insulted you, lied about you, or tried to embarrass you. Your first instinct was probably to defend yourself, to set the record straight, to make them see the truth. But that reaction only gave them more control. They wanted a reaction, and you gave them exactly what they came for. The next time it happens, do something different. Don't respond immediately. Take a breath. Observe. Watch how they expect you to explode. And then don't. Let silence do the talking. You'll notice how uncomfortable they become, how their words start to lose impact. Because without your emotional energy, they can't maintain control. This kind of discipline takes practice. It requires rewiring the mind to see stillness as strength, not weakness. Society often teaches us to respond to everything, to defend ourselves, to speak up the moment we're challenged. But wisdom teaches the opposite, that silence is sometimes the most powerful answer. Not because you're scared, but because you've evolved beyond the need to engage. You've realized that people will see what they want to see, no matter how clearly you explain yourself. So instead of fighting to be understood, you protect your peace and let time reveal the truth. Emotional control also means refusing to let people rent space in your head. When you replay conversations or dwell on someone's words, you're still reacting, just silently. True control happens when you stop giving those thoughts your attention. When you learn to let go, you can't stop people from being toxic, but you can stop them from living in your mind, rent-free. You can acknowledge the pain without letting it consume you. You can feel the emotion without losing your center. There's a certain elegance in calmness. It's magnetic. It commands respect without demanding it. When you speak slowly, move deliberately, and respond thoughtfully, people notice. It's intimidating to those who rely on chaos to feel powerful. They can't manipulate someone who doesn't flinch, who doesn't argue, who doesn't defend themselves unnecessarily. Your stillness becomes your armor. Your calm presence communicates more than words ever could. I am not available for your chaos. Mastering emotional control doesn't mean you become emotionless. It means you own your emotions instead of letting them own you. It's the difference between reacting from pain and responding from clarity. It's knowing that you can be kind without being naive, calm without being passive, and silent without being submissive. Emotional control is not about being detached from life. It's about being so centered that no one can pull you away from yourself. Eventually, you'll realize that the more you control your reactions, the more peaceful your life becomes. Arguments fade quicker. Drama feels boring. Manipulative people stop calling, because the energy once spent on emotional survival is now being redirected into self-growth. You begin to attract people who respect your calm rather than test it. Your peace becomes a filter that naturally removes those who thrive on conflict. And here's the most beautiful part. When you master emotional control, you stop being reactive to life itself. You no longer get thrown off by every disappointment, every insult, every unexpected turn. You respond with grace. You adapt. You trust that your stillness is stronger than their noise. You learn that your emotions are a tool, not a weakness. something to guide you, not something for others to exploit. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this: your reaction is their reward. Don't give it to them. The real flex isn't clapping back, it's staying silent, composed, and completely unbothered. Because when you can look chaos in the eye and not flinch, you've already won. That's the kind of quiet power toxic people can't touch. And it's the kind that will keep you free for the rest of your life. There's a point you reach in life where you stop asking for peace and start protecting it. You stop explaining why you're pulling away, why you're not available, why you don't respond the way you used to, and you simply move differently. Because when you've been drained enough, disrespected enough, and disappointed enough, something inside you shifts. You start to understand that not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone should be allowed to occupy your mind, your time, or your emotions. That's not arrogance. That's wisdom. Toxic people don't just take your energy, they test your boundaries. They want to see how much of yourself you'll give up to keep the peace, how much discomfort you'll tolerate before you finally say, enough. But here's what they don't expect: that you'll stop explaining your limits and start enforcing them. Because the truth is, boundaries only work when they're consistent and unapologetic. The moment you start explaining or defending them, you hand over your power again. You invite debate about something that was never up for discussion. Healthy people respect boundaries. Toxic people see them as obstacles. That's how you know the difference. The moment you start asserting your space, the wrong people will accuse you of being cold, selfish, or distant. They'll twist your need for peace into a character flaw. Because your silence threatens their control. They're not upset that you've changed. They're upset that they can no longer use you the way they used to. And that's why you must learn to set boundaries without explanation. You don't owe anyone a justification for protecting your well-being. The old version of you probably over-explained. You'd say things like, I'm just really busy right now, or I just need some time to think. You softened your truth to avoid hurting someone's feelings, even when they had no issue hurting yours. You overextended yourself because you feared being misunderstood. But here's what growth looks like: silence. You stop explaining your distance, your decisions, your healing. You simply say less and do more. You stop making yourself available to people who never show up for you. You stop responding to every message, every guilt trip, every emotional plea. You move from defending your peace to protecting it like sacred ground. Boundaries are not walls. They are gates. They determine who gets in and how far they go. And you are the gatekeeper. You decide who has earned access to your time, your heart, your energy. That doesn't make you mean. It makes you mature. Because maturity isn't about saying yes to everyone. It's about learning when to say no, without guilt. It's realizing that access to you is a privilege, not a right. And not everyone deserves front row seats in your life. Some people only get to watch from the distance they created. There will always be people who take your boundaries personally. They'll interpret your peace as punishment. They'll act like you've wronged them by prioritizing yourself. Don't fall for that. That's emotional manipulation in disguise. The moment you start to feel guilty for doing what's right for your mental and emotional health, pause and ask yourself, who benefits from my guilt? It's never you. The ones who truly care about you will understand and respect your space. The ones who don't were only there for what they could take, not what they could give. When you redefine access, you begin to see how much energy you used to waste trying to maintain connections that only existed because you never said no. You start noticing the peace that comes from unanswered text, from choosing solitude over chaos, from letting people misunderstand you instead of bending over backwards to explain yourself. You learn that silence doesn't mean weakness, it means strength under control. It's the quiet assurance that you no longer need to prove your worth by overextending it. Sometimes redefining access means walking away completely. Other times, it simply means changing how you show up. You no longer engage in certain conversations. You stop oversharing with people who gossip about you. You stop seeking emotional intimacy with people who've proven they can't handle it. You start living on your own terms, grounded, intentional, and free. And slowly, you'll notice something powerful. The drama fades. the noise disappears. The people who drained you fall away because your energy is no longer available for chaos. And the best part, you stop needing to explain yourself. You stop writing essays to justify why you didn't reply, why you didn't attend, why you don't tolerate certain behavior anymore. You realize that your boundary doesn't need to be understood to be respected. It only needs to be enforced. The more you explain, the more you invite negotiation. And peace is not negotiable. It's earned through discipline. Here's a truth most people avoid. Every time you make yourself too available to the wrong people, you make yourself unavailable to the right ones. You can't welcome peace when your life is full of noise. You can't attract respect when you keep entertaining disrespect. Redefining access is about creating space, better energy, better conversations, better people. It's about aligning your environment with your values. You don't have to announce your boundaries. You don't have to post them, defend them, or argue over them. You simply live them. You become so grounded in your own peace that people either rise to meet you or fade away. That's the beauty of it. You don't lose people, you lose chaos. You don't become lonely, you become selective. You stop craving connection and start craving alignment. At first it feels uncomfortable. You'll feel the guilt. The silence might feel heavy. The distance might feel strange. But that's just the detox, the withdrawal from years of overgiving and over-explaining. Stay with it. Eventually that quiet will become your sanctuary. You'll find comfort in your solitude because you'll realize that peace was the thing you were always chasing through people who couldn't give it to you. So redefine access, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Don't explain it. Don't announce it. Just enforce it with calm consistency. Let your actions speak louder than your words. When people feel your absence more than they ever valued your presence, they'll understand, but by then, you'll have already moved on. Lighter, freer, and finally at peace. Walking away is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Not because you're weak, but because you've been conditioned to stay, to fix, to prove, to endure. We're taught that walking away means giving up, that it's quitting, that it's failure, but that's not true. Walking away is not a loss of strength. It's the ultimate demonstration of it, because it takes more courage to leave something that drains you than to stay in something that's breaking you. It's not escape, it's evolution. It's choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over validation. The truth is, toxic people and environments thrive on your willingness to stay. They count on your empathy, your loyalty, your desire to make things right. They use that against you. They know that as long as you care, you'll keep coming back. They know you'll replay the past, rationalize their behavior, and convince yourself that maybe this time things will be different. But deep down, you already know it won't be. They don't change because you tolerate them. They only change when you stop giving them access. Walking away isn't just a physical act, it's emotional detachment. It's when you stop needing closure, stop needing to be understood, stop needing to fix what was never your fault. It's the quiet moment when you realize that staying costs more than leaving ever will. It's when your peace becomes more important than their approval. It's when you finally choose yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a self-respecting one. Because the moment you decide to walk away, you stop being the victim of someone else's behavior and start becoming the author of your own peace. The power of walking away lies in what it says without words. You're not arguing. You're not defending. You're not begging someone to see your worth. You're saying, I know my value, and I refuse to let this environment make me forget it. You're saying, I no longer participate in what hurts me. It's silent strength, the kind that doesn't need validation because it's rooted in self-trust. The hardest part is not leaving, it's staying gone. Because toxic dynamics create emotional addiction. You get used to the highs and lows, the push and pull, the chaos and calm. It's a psychological trap that feeds on hope, The hope that if you just do one more thing, say one more right word, show just a little more patience, things will finally change. But that's the lie that keeps you stuck. The moment you walk away and stay away, the spell breaks. You start seeing clearly what you couldn't see before. That peace doesn't live there, that no matter how hard you tried, it was never going to feel safe or healthy. When you walk away, you're not being cold, you're being clear. You're saying, I will no longer shrink to make this work. You're choosing to stop negotiating your worth, because people who truly value you won't put you in positions where you constantly have to prove it. They won't make you question your sanity, your goodness, or your reality. But toxic people will. And the only way to stop the cycle is to step out of it completely. At first, walking away feels like loss. It feels like emptiness, silence, space. But over time, you realize that silence is healing. The emptiness is just the absence of chaos. The space is where you finally start to rebuild. You begin to rediscover parts of yourself you had to bury to survive, that relationship, that friendship, that environment. You realize how much energy you spent trying to keep something alive that was slowly killing you, and you feel a deep sense of relief that you finally let it go. You'll notice something else too. Your standards will change. What once felt normal will now feel intolerable. You'll recognize manipulation faster. You'll sense disrespect sooner. Because walking away teaches you what your peace is worth. It sharpens your intuition. It shows you that the right people will never make you beg for the basics: respect, honesty, consideration. Once you experience real peace, chaos becomes uninteresting. You stop craving drama, and you start craving quiet. You stop needing attention, and you start valuing alignment. The act of walking away also reveals who you really are. It exposes the depth of your strength. You realize that you can lose people and not lose yourself. You can start over and not crumble. You can stand alone and still be whole. That realization is the essence of power, not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that frees you from them. It's not about punishing anyone, it's about liberating yourself. Because freedom is not given, it's taken. It's the reward of choosing your own peace. Again and again, even when it hurts. And make no mistake, toxic people will notice your absence. They'll test your boundaries. They'll reach out, not because they've changed, but because they've lost their supply. They'll try to pull you back with words that sound sincere, but carry the same manipulation as before. Don't fall for it. The same words from the same person will always lead to the same place. Walking away once means nothing if you keep turning around. Real power is in staying gone. Eventually, your silence will speak louder than anything you could have said. Your peace will become your statement. People will notice the shift in your energy, your focus, your strength. You'll carry yourself differently. Not bitter, not broken, but free. Because when you walk away, you don't just leave them behind. You leave behind the version of yourself that tolerated less than you deserved. You outgrow your old patterns. You become someone new, someone grounded, calm, untouchable. Walking away is not the end. It's the beginning, the doorway to a life that feels like peace, not performance. It's the space where healing happens, where clarity returns, where strength is rebuilt in silence. And the most powerful part, you don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. Just walk away, quietly, confidently, completely. Let your absence speak for itself. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Just the sound of your footsteps leaving what no longer deserves your presence. There comes a point after the storm, after the confrontation, after the walking away, after all the hurt, where you have a choice. You can stay in defense mode, constantly replaying the past, or you can transform that energy into something powerful, something that propels you forward. This is where true strength begins. Because surviving toxic people isn't the final victory, thriving after them is. It's not enough to just protect your peace. You have to build something with it. You have to turn that pain, that disappointment, that betrayal into fuel. Every ounce of energy you once wasted on defending yourself can now be redirected toward rebuilding yourself. You've already learned how to stop reacting, how to set boundaries, how to walk away. Now it's time to evolve, to channel everything you've been through into purpose. You can't change what happened, but you can choose what it becomes. You can let it define you, or you can let it refine you. Transformation begins in silence. It starts when you stop explaining your story to people who were never listening. When you stop trying to make others see your worth and start quietly proving it through how you live. Toxic people leave behind scars, but those scars can become symbols of strength if you learn from them. Every moment you were underestimated, dismissed, or mistreated was actually training. It was preparing you to recognize manipulation, to sense disrespect, to see through masks. That awareness is your power now. You see things others miss because you've lived through them. The energy you once spent in defense, explaining, justifying, holding yourself together can now be used to build the life you deserve. Instead of using your strength to survive chaos, you use it to create peace. Instead of using your voice to defend yourself, you use it to speak truth and purpose. Instead of fighting for someone's approval, you fight for your dreams. You no longer live to prove anyone wrong, you live to prove yourself right. Here's the secret about toxic experiences. They force you to meet yourself at your rawest, most unguarded state. They strip away illusions. You discover what you can endure, what you truly value, and what no longer fits your life. And that clarity is power. It's the foundation for transformation. Once you've seen how ugly manipulation looks, you stop tolerating anything less than honesty. Once you've felt what chaos does to your spirit, you start protecting your calm like your life depends on it. Because it does. Transformation isn't loud. It doesn't happen in one big moment. It's gradual, like light slowly returning after a long night. You start making small choices that honor your peace. You start saying no without guilt. You start investing in yourself mentally, emotionally, physically. You start attracting people who don't drain you, but inspire you. You start noticing how different your energy feels when you're no longer in constant defense mode. Your mind becomes clearer. Your confidence grows. You start walking differently, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. The beauty of transforming your energy is that it changes everything around you. When you stop responding to life from a place of pain, you start responding from a place of power. Your energy becomes magnetic. You no longer chase opportunities come to you because you've aligned with something higher. You're no longer trying to fix people. You're focused on growth. You're no longer proving your worth. You're embodying it. The same energy that was once used to protect yourself now becomes the energy that expands your life. That's what healing really means. Taking the energy of what tried to break you and using it to build something unshakable. You stop identifying with the wound and start identifying with the wisdom it gave you. You understand that everything that hurt you was also shaping you, teaching you resilience, patience, empathy, and strength. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start realizing this happened for me, not because you deserve the pain, but because you deserve the lesson that would elevate you. Every time you choose calm over chaos, focus over reaction, discipline over drama, you're transforming energy. You're teaching your mind and body that peace is the new normal. You stop waiting for apologies, explanations, or closure. You don't need them anymore. Your closure is the new life you're building. Your revenge is your peace. Your power is your progress. And something incredible happens when you operate from this energy. Toxic people can no longer find you. They can't reach the frequency you're on. They'll try to provoke you, but you'll feel nothing. Their tactics no longer work because you've transcended them. You're no longer reactive, you're reflective. You don't absorb negativity anymore, you observe it. You see manipulation as immaturity, cruelty as insecurity, and you don't take any of it personally. That's freedom. Transformation also means learning to give from overflow, not depletion. You stop pouring yourself into people or situations that don't reciprocate. You protect your energy not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You realize that your peace is sacred and that only those who honor it should be close to you. You become more intentional with your words, your time, your company. You don't entertain gossip, chaos, or confusion. You simply don't have the energy for anything that doesn't align with your growth. That's the beautiful paradox of transformation. The more you focus inward, the more powerful you become outwardly. You start creating results without shouting about them. You move with calm confidence because you no longer seek validation. Your presence alone starts speaking for you. Grounded, composed, radiant. You've mastered your energy, and that mastery makes you magnetic. When you transform the energy of defense into power, you no longer see yourself as a survivor of toxic people. You see yourself as someone who rose above them. You no longer define yourself by what hurt you, but by how you healed from it. You no longer see endings as losses, but as redirections. You start to understand that walking away wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of a stronger, wiser, freer version of you. And one day you'll look back and realize that the pain that once made you question everything actually gave you the blueprint for peace. That the people who tried to destroy you were the ones who awakened your strength. That every moment you spent defending yourself led you here, to a place where you no longer have to. Because now, you are your own defense. Your energy speaks before you do. Your peace is your power. And your transformation is the loudest statement you'll ever make. At the end of it all, the real victory isn't that toxic people left you alone. It's that you no longer need their approval, their validation, or their understanding. You outgrew the battlefield. You stopped fighting for peace and started embodying it. You learned that real strength isn't loud or aggressive. It's quiet, grounded, and unshakable. The moment you stopped reacting, stopped explaining, and stopped chasing, that's when you truly won. You've built something most people never master: control over your energy. And once you hold that, no one can touch you. People may still try to provoke you, but they'll find nothing to feed on. You'll be too centered, too self-assured, too focused on growth to be pulled back into their chaos. That's what real power looks like. Calm in the face of disrespect, grace in the face of manipulation, peace in the face of noise. You are no longer at war with anyone. You've become the calm after every storm. The same energy that once broke you now fuels you. The silence they mistook for weakness has become your strength. The boundaries they called cold have become your protection. The walk away they saw as defeat was actually your liberation. So remember this: you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your peace is the proof. Your discipline is the evidence. Your transformation is the message. You don't announce power, you embody it. You don't chase respect, you command it quietly, effortlessly, just by being who you are now. And that's the secret they'll never understand. When you master yourself, no one can control you again. You've already done the hardest thing. You stopped letting other people define how you feel. From here on, everything you build, your success, your relationships, your peace, comes from your own strength. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. You're not here to convince. You're here to evolve. Keep walking with grace, with calm, with purpose. Because when you do this once, truly, completely, toxic people will never bother you again. They can't. You've risen beyond their reach.